This is one of the most devastating, deadly flooding events we have ever seen, and the death toll continues to rise.
It's a race against Mother Nature to bring people to safety as devastation surrounds them.
Entire towns have nothing left. People are still without power, and everything is buried in a foot of mud.
Homes and businesses gone. At least 28 people killed, including 4 young siblings.
Homes around the southern part of our region underwater. Disaster centers now opening.
For 24, 1,900.
And 672 has you in sight. We'll be in front of you shortly.
Here in hard-hit Knott County, the search parties are back at it, looking for people who are still missing, especially in this devastated area along what's called Troublesome Creek. It seems Troublesome Creek lived up to its name.
But we're struggling. It's still tough. Not as tough as it was at the beginning, but we got so many people that their homes are not rebuildable, and FEMA assistance has helped some, and I'm thankful for that, but so many that hasn't been helped and just, just displaced, and it's just tough. Man, and I'm just afraid we're going to lose some of our population that they want to be home. So we need to get them home, and we need to get some jobs in here where they can stay here and make a living and raise their families where they want to be anyway.
When you tell them what happens, one of their favorite comments is, well, why don't you just move? And to me, that is the most insensitive thing you can have. How do you pull a tree up by the roots and move it? This is people's homes. And if you say, why don't you just move, then I have a feeling you have no concept of what home is. You don't just move a home. You stay, you rebuild, and you move on. The government sent in FEMA, Small Business Administration, and the like, and God bless them, they do what they can to do, but they do what they are trained to do. And they're not trained to think outside the box. In East Kentucky, you have to be outside the box. A lot of these lands are generational. Great-grandma, great-grandpa owned it, and grandma and grandpa kept it up, and then the sons and daughters kept it up. Now their children are keeping up. So if you come in from a government agency, I need this paperwork, there is no paperwork. A lot in East Kentucky, your word is your bond. And I don't think that government agencies understand that concept anymore.
We don't need that kind of help. We don't need to waste time. Just like these other faith-based that has came in here, put the boots on the ground, they have brought supplies. They didn't come in and say, well, we're going to give you $124 for your destroyed home that you worked all your life for. So I really don't know how much to say on that matter right there, but I believe that's enough. But these people, they deserve much more than that. And $124 checks, we would say keep it and just keep your paperwork to yourself.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
FEMA and Red Cross together probably paid enough to where you could maybe buy a decent living room outfit. I lost everything I had. I mean, I took the kitchen cabinets, everything. I mean, I took everything out of the house up to the ceiling. All that was left was the ceiling and the framing, the 2x4s.
So we didn't get anything out. We lost, everything. We didn't get anything out of our home. Well, for one, we never thought it would get that high. It never has. So when I left, I just thought, well, we'll come back home. Didn't have any clue. But we've lived here for a long time. I actually lived here as a teenager, and we had a house here, and our home burnt in 2003. So we put the double wide back, and which was flooded this time. So let me tell you, a fire is easier to go through than a flood. Because the fire, it was all gone. Everything was gone. There was nothing we had to clean up. They brought a bulldozer up here and just shoved it all away. But with the flood, we've had to do it all. And we've had to see it all, like when you pull your pictures out and they're mud, and when you see all that, it's hard. With the fire, it was just gone. We're the only home in our line, this middle line, that's going to be here. The other homes are going to be tore down. And they've left. They've left here.
I'm just so afraid that our message, the needs and wants of Breathitt County and Eastern Kentucky is going to be forgotten, because there's so many natural disasters in the United States. There's fires, flooding in St. Louis, flooding in Las Vegas, the Western California fires, the hurricanes in Florida. So there's going to be other natural disasters. And every natural disaster affects those people. Those folks are important too. Well, we're important too.
People are funny. You take a natural disaster and for a week that's all they talk about. But the way the news and media is now, the next thing comes along and you're pushed off to the side. Yes, I think that East Kentucky is beginning once again to be forgot about. Other disasters have happened, they've moved on. Unfortunately, we can't move on like that.
Don't forget us. It's been 3 months and things are still pretty bad. Don't forget that we're still here fighting day by day.
I feel like the people in Eastern Kentucky are overlooked. Yes, I do. I do not feel like that we get our share of what we should get around here.
This was the most horrendous flooding in my lifetime, that the water flowed off of the hillsides in sheets. And this being hilly country, all it could do was go to a lower point, and it all collected there, and that's what created these violent streams. And it not only washed places away, it tore down places that you typically don't expect a flood to do anything but just some water damage. But it tore them down. These people, many of them, lost everything they ever had, and it happened suddenly. Some of them were alerted by the sound of the rushing water and didn't know what it was.
Before the flooding ever occurred, Breathitt County was experiencing a housing crisis, and so there were not enough houses here for folks beforehand, and so those opportunities for renting were crucial, and so many of those properties flooded in 2022, and some of them flooded in 2021 as well.
Because we know from experience, the first flood we had a year and a half ago, that soon was forgotten about. You hear so much over a period of time, you're getting on something else. These people have not forgotten what their neighbors endured, a few months ago.
Honestly, what stood out to us is just how quick it was onset, because it was, we had the flood of 21, and it had actually flooded the trailer court and some of the fire station here last year. Then turn around 18 months later and get hit again. In less than 24 hours, it had rose 70, 80 feet in places we'd never seen it.
This was by far the biggest river we've had around here. It got, like I say, it got 33 inches up in the house. So you can imagine, say you just turn around and look at it here, and you can see that 33 inches up from, say, the top of the brick line there coming up, it got up almost to the windows there.
You see the weatherhead there on the top of the line? That was where the water line was on the church. So where we're standing today was the river. It lacked about, I would say, 2 to 3 foot being over the entire building this time. So we lost everything.
You got people that's lived here their entire life and lost everything in a matter of 48 hours or less. And they're turning around trying to rebuild, and we're having issues with long-term housing, and that's our biggest issue right now, is trying to get these people placed where they're coming out of tents and got a warm place to stay. It's rough on the students and on the schools because, you're living in a tent, you're living with in-laws, you're living with family, you're living in a tag-along camper or tag-along trailer, whatever you guys want to refer to it as. Yeah, that's short-term, but that's not gonna make you feel better about what's going on.
Kids here in Breathitt County and across the Eastern Kentucky region, they've experienced trauma, and it is going to take a long time. It's going to take investments in mental health supports to help them as they continue on with their lives. Students who were impacted directly by the flooding, whose homes were destroyed or damaged, it's going to take supporting them in rebuilding.
We have to help folks and help these kids. These kids are our future, but we have to have adults, their parents, in good places in life where they can provide a normal lifestyle, normal, loving family situation where their needs, the basic needs, are taken care of. And so having a kid go to school when they come back home and go into a house that's been flooded. Anyway, the child can't concentrate on the education. When you go to a home, all their stuff's gone.
Most of these people, they decide to stay. You're going to see people that's going to be living in their tents on their land. They do not want to leave their property. I don't blame them. Some of these farms has been in their house or in their family for generations, and just because of a flood, they are not going to just pack up and leave.
And most want to stay in tents because they don't want to leave their property. They're afraid to leave their property and what they do have.
People are hurting. You've got people that lost just absolutely everything. I was talking with somebody the other day. They lost their house in the flood. Thankfully, they were able to get out with their vehicle. Just recently, they were driving in their vehicle, something malfunctioned and caught fire, and now they lost their vehicle, they lost everything, all their belongings. It's not just a matter of meeting physical needs, but being there to support people emotionally and spiritually as we go through that process. As soon as you get the physical needs met, that emotional support follows immediately after, to just be there and listen and take part in their story.
Right here. Give thanks in all things. Our church family, that has been our rock. I can't explain it. It's our faith. There's better days coming. Someday we will have a home in the sky that we won't have to worry about. We won't have to worry about floods and fires and whatever.
One thing I wonder about, because we know all these disasters are going to happen. The Bible says it's going to happen, they're going to happen. Fulfilling the Bible. Why aren't we as a country prepared?
There are three things that man cannot control. That is water, that is fire, and that is wind. Only God can control those.
The loss of life, unfortunately, in this flood, according to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, surpassed the last 9 years of flooding in Kentucky combined. So emotionally, it has been excruciatingly difficult.
I'll give you the first call that day. I work a side job, and I'd been out doing that side job Wednesday night. Had stayed out late with the fire department up to about 3:30, 4 o'clock that morning. Went home to my fiance, laid down. Probably about 30 minutes. Got up to a fellow firefighter in distress. His house is flooding, it's in his house. And unfortunately, the way things work is we can't risk a life at dark. We can't put our guys at risk at dark. So we had to wait till daybreak to get to him. By the time we'd got to him, it was literally about 1.5 feet from the roof of his trailer, you know, and that's top of a doorway of an 8-foot door. Pulling him, his wife, his daughter, and his mother out. You know, it's heartbreaking knowing that in certain situations that could have went a lot worse than what it did.
I sit right there beside this window right over here on this side of the window and watch the water come in and go back out.
The walls were knotted pine that had been finished and retreated, and I mean they were just beautiful. They shine, they shone, and of course the stage area was up here. It's all gone, but we're going to rebuild the stage. It was 2 rooms on each side, and it was just amazing. It was a typical country church. It was all wood finished inside. Even the ceilings had tongue and groove in it. It was really pretty. People that built this back in the 50s really wanted something they could be proud of, and they did. They did an amazing job, and I just hope we can bring it back to half of what, you know, it sort of is a tribute to them, to what it was. So this is it though, 4 walls and a ceiling, but at least it's a place to start. Place to start.
Rise up from the ground. You can't bury memories that won't drown. 35 years later, and all I think about is what's coming up when the water goes down. Jesus said one day the dead would rise up from the ground. You can't bury memories that won't drown. 35 years later, and all I think about is what's coming up when the water goes